Just a quick one before the podcast this week. Dan has asked us to let everyone know about his fundraising that he's doing at the moment. In 2 weeks' time, he's taking part in the Ride London 100 event, which is basically him riding 100 miles on his bike round London. He's doing it all in aid of Macmillan Cancer Support, which is a fantastic charity which gives support to cancer sufferers and their families through what is obviously an incredibly trying time in their life. Rather than ask for Patreon donations this week, we're asking for people to sponsor Dan. And you can do that by going to his fundraising page at justgiving.com/fundraising/100miledan. Donate as much as you can, and all the money will go to a great cause. Right, let's have a show. Hi and welcome to this week's Three Legs, Four Wheels F1 podcast. It's Paul here with
Dan,
Chris,
and Lee.
Take that brew away from your mouth and talk. No, don't do that. This isn't the Rock and Roll Geek Show.
It's the UK's premier energy drink you've got there, isn't it?
Coffee.
Tea.
No, coffee.
Oh, tea.
Coffee. Yeah,
Coffee.
so I've switched it up a bit.
Oh,
So you got me to bring tea bags and you're drinking coffee tonight?
For these two.
yeah, I'm on.
Cheers, Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope they were the right ones. I don't drink tea.
Well, I opened the Darth Vader, which I keep all my tea bags in, and there was like one in the bottom of it. I thought, shit. There's more than one cup of tea going to happen tonight.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, seeing as we're all caffeined up, should we talk F1?
Why not?
Right. We have the German Grand Prix this week.
We do.
But
this coming weekend.
But who's going to be driving in it? That is the question, because the first thing I've got on the running order is Haas rumours. There's an O in rumours, by the way, Chris.
There is. There's the O-U-R-S, it says that.
Not on there, it doesn't.
Yes, it does. There's an O next to the M there. Yeah, Dan, you can read that for clarification. It's very small, but it's after the M, before the U.
That's an E. Rumours.
Well, it looks like a lowercase e, but it's definitely an O.
The Haas team, as if they didn't have enough shit going on already with the whole rich energy thing. Rumours are apparently we could be seeing Grosjean out and Ocon in by the weekend.
It's bollocks.
I'm gonna say I'm calling bollocks on this one.
What I tend to believe could happen is that Haas make a driver change mid-season break, but I don't think it'll happen before Germany or even before the Hungarian.
He's
Grand Prix.
reportedly looking into Formula E for next year, isn't he, as well?
Who, Ocon or
No, Grosjean.
Okay. Oh, why? Because there's not enough crashes in Formula 1 for him.
Yeah.
Formula E is pretty crashy at the minute.
He feels like he could do well on those tight, twisty street circuits.
And there's a lot more front wing to damage.
There is a lot more front wing.
I mean, I think we're all of the opinion that this is going to be Grosjean's last season in a Haas.
I think
last season should have been.
I think the
I
last
would be
race was
very
the last race.
surprised if he's in a Haas next year. I'm going to be very surprised if he's not in a Haas this weekend.
I will be very, very surprised if he's still in a Haas after the summer break. I won't be surprised if he's not in the Haas this weekend.
I don't think they'll do it this soon. I mean, Haas have already put their preview media out, and he's being quoted in it.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's Haas.
Yeah, that's who we're talking about.
No, but look at all the stuff that's gone on with Haas. I think that media thing they put out means precisely cock all. We don't even know what advertising's going to be on that team this weekend now.
Well, there is that. Are they going to have any advertising?
They are still calling themselves the Rich Energy Haas F1 team, as of recording Monday night.
Is Rich Energy still a thing?
Yes.
Technically, it's some things. There is the company that was Rich Energy Limited that then changed its name to Lightning Volt when William Storey sold his shares to another shareholder.
Do they realise there is an energy drink called Volt?
Right. What this company does is a company.
It's launder money.
BDG Group, which originally stood for Business Debts Gone. They take over companies that are in serious shit.
Mm-hmm.
And they buy the company and change the name to something generic.
Right.
They've had names like Silver Teapot Limited before for companies that they bought.
Kind of like that.
So they just pick two random words and they just lightning bolt.
They phosphorus penguins it.
Yeah.
They look for Google wax.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do. That's not a bad idea, though, is it? Google whack, because nobody else is going to come up if you search those two words
I
together.
tell you what, you'd have to do fucking pretty good to find one these days.
There's
I'd
a map.
imagine.
I was watching Dave Gorman's Google Whack Adventure the other night. That has not aged well just because of the subject matter.
Yeah.
There's a map system as well, 6 square meters all around the globe that uses 2 words for each 6 square meter reference, rather than plots and coordinates. Just 2 words
Why?
because it works.
Why not?
But did somebody decide that letters and numbers wasn't ideal?
Well, numbers, there are only obviously 10 characters, 0 up to 9.
Yeah.
And letters, you've got 26 of, and
squares bigger.
coherent words.
Unless you're
You know.
Mrs. Dan to be, who once answered in a pub quiz that there were 27 letters in the alphabet. Dan, what does your girlfriend do for a living?
Fiance.
Fiance do for a living?
She's a teacher.
A teacher of what?
Primary school kids.
That's fine. It's a mixed bag, primary school teaching, isn't it?
What's the
If you'd have
27th
said-
letter of
if
the
you'd said
alphabet then?
maths.
Knowing her, meh. A, B, C, meh, D.
I reckon it's those funny foreign ones with squiggles on.
Is that a quote?
No.
Going back to the Rich Energy situation anyway, the company that was Rich Energy Limited is now called Lightning Volt and is in possession of somebody else. But another company called Rich Energy Limited was formed in the UK last Friday.
Right.
And
With-
they have the website with the new inverted commas logo.
I'm not entirely sure who's got that. It could be the former William Story company or it could be this new Rich Energy.
That sounds like
The-
a William Story move, doesn't it?
The drink has changed its logo because they had until last Thursday to get rid of the one that was legally proven to be taken from White Bikes. Also, White Bikes have taken over sponsorship of Rick Parfitt Jr., who was a Rich Energy sponsored driver, right up until this weekend.
Oh dear.
So not maintaining the status quo there.
Yes.
I made that joke on Twitter.
Very good.
So no one knows which.
Get it?
Rick Parfitt Jr. is the son of Rick Parfitt, who was in Status Quo.
I don't know anyone's name that's in status quo.
He was the blonde one.
Right.
The other one was Francis Rossi. Nobody knew who anyone else was.
But his son's Valentino.
Yeah.
Is the blonde one the one that magically got hair back?
No, he's the one that died.
Right.
And his son is a racer driver
Okay.
who was sponsored by Rich Energy and is now sponsored by White Bikes. Now the joke is lost because we had to explain it.
Okay.
He's also a drummer.
Okay.
I bet I'm not the only one that was confused there.
Maybe.
There's a good chance. So we still don't know which Rich Energy or former Rich Energy company owns the rights to the drink and has the sponsorship with Haas.
Is this whole thing just a prank done by the KLF?
if it is, they burnt more than £1 million this time.
Do you think it's performance art?
It would be so.
Well, it's not business, is it? Come on.
It would be so amazing if they turned up in an ice cream van sponsored by Rich Energy.
Although if Gunter Steiner wants the team to look like rock stars, maybe he should have gone for a different brand of energy drink.
Red Bull.
Yeah. Relentless.
Or Rockstar.
No,
No.
definitely not those.
No, because it tastes like arse.
So
So,
what arse tastes like, if I'm perfectly
No,
honest.
no. I know I don't like energy drinks. I can say that.
so we don't know who owns the sponsorship that's on the Haas car, what sponsorship the Haas car will be carrying, and who will be driving it.
No, we haven't got a clue. We don't know if it's going to be because Lightning Volt put out a tweet saying, "Have you got any?"
We don't know if that Lightning Volt Twitter's official as well.
Okay, so we're not sure if that's official,
No.
right? Because because they did put out a tweet that said, "Have you got any blue paint for the German Grand Prix at Haas F1 team or whatever their official
That
thing?"
may be a spoof one, just like the Banter Steiner.
Maybe.
So can we just start calling them Team Schrodinger, because we don't know whether they are or
No
they
idea.
aren't.
I saw the article on on Autosport. I think the headline was something like, "What exactly is going on with Haas?" A timeline thing, and I was too depressed to click on it.
Yeah, yep, that's fair enough.
It kind of made as much sense as we're making about it now.
Yeah.
But driver-wise, if Ocon's got some sort of money that he can bring along with him, because it doesn't look like that Rich are going to turn up with their money.
My thought is if he's got some sponsorship.
Halfway through the season, I could see them being like, well, sorry, Roman, it's for commercial reasons that we have to let you go and get Esteban in the car, when really it's got nothing to do with that. It's the fact that Grosjean is the driver who hemorrhages points for Haas.
Yeah, the only thing that I would worry about sorry, just quick, what I think is really weird
potential points
is if they're potentially going to sack the crashy driver that crashed into his teammate and hire the crashy driver that used to crash into his teammate.
Yeah, it's going to be fun, isn't it? Yeah. Ocon, he's never done anything wrong.
Ever.
No.
Apparently the lineup for next season is going to be Ericsson and Nasser.
Is it?
Well.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Might as well bring Maldonado back.
Please.
Yeah, please.
He was good at writing off black and gold cars.
Just for the pun. I think it's weird. I think he'll definitely be in before the summer break, but I've got this funny feeling that we're going to get a Tuesday announcement about it before the drivers and stuff go out. It's going to be a.
The thing with Grosjean as well. If you're really going to look at Romain Grosjean, okay, he came in at Renault, didn't he? When after Piquet did his smash into the wall, then he had a year or two out before he came back as a full-time driver. And he was Renault and then Lotus, wasn't he? He was Lotus driver for a number of years. Did quite well, scored a few podiums in the same team that he was driving alongside Kimi Räikkönen.
I don't remember him being as crashy at Lotus.
He was a bit crashy, but he. Obviously, he tried to kill. We spoke about this last week.
Oh, he tried to kill Fernando Alonso.
Yeah. But after that,
but Maldonado was on the grid at the same time, so the crashiness just we all looked at him for that.
But he got a one-race ban, and after that one-race ban, he came back. So it was a bit more level-headed for a while, and we sang
his slow, wasn't
he?
he?
Yeah. And we sang his praises for a bit, but he got a few podiums for Lotus. Then it was the news that he was signing for Haas with the view to, because he genuinely believed, if you remember when he signed for Haas, that there could be an opening at Ferrari for him in a couple of seasons' time. Romain Grosjean is never going to win a Formula One Grand Prix.
No, ever.
And if he does, it'll be by complete fluke, Olivier Panis style.
Yeah.
And he's never going to be a world champion.
And it won't be.
I'm going to throw in that he's never going to drive for Ferrari.
Yeah.
He's never going to drive for Ferrari. Of course he's never going to drive for Ferrari.
He can't win a race Olivier Panis style, because in order for somebody to win a race Olivier Panis style, he's going to take half the grid out.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And also, something else I'd like to point out is that Crashgate at Singapore was 10 years ago this year.
Crazy, isn't it?
So Grosjean, it's now 10. All right, okay. Given he was a young F2 driver or GP2 driver at the time,
he did have a year out though, didn't he?
A year or two, I think it was.
Back to GP2.
Yeah,
I think it was just 1 year.
And
2010.
He's had his time to prove himself. I'm sorry, he's had his time. He's had his time, and he's had two teams, and he's not good enough.
No.
There are other younger, faster drivers coming in behind who will push Grosjean out of the sport. Esteban Ocon is one of them. I'm not saying it is him, but he's one of the drivers who probably should be in the sport when you've got drivers like Grosjean who maybe shouldn't.
See, I think Esteban Ocon has been massively overrated because he's not in the sport. I think it's been very easy for people to start almost saying that he's a potential world champion because he's not there. Do you know what I mean? He can't do anything wrong if he's not driving. But I do think he deserves to be in Formula One to at least show what he can do.
He was roughly on a level with Perez, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And I think Perez, if Perez were to go to a Ferrari or something like that, he'd win races in Ferrari.
Yeah.
So I don't see why Ocon wouldn't if he were to take a Mercedes seat, for example. If a gap were to open up, I'm sure Ocon would win races. Don't know if he'd be championship material, but you can't always tell straight away. But
I think I was right months ago. I think Mercedes, when they brought George Russell through into Formula One, that was the beginning of them losing confidence in Ocon. When they brought him into Formula One at the cost of Ocon staying in.
But don't forget, when George Russell was announced, it still looked like Ocon was going to be going to Renault because it was before the Ricciardo announcement. It was only Ricciardo going to Renault that stopped Ocon from taking that seat.
Yeah, even so, I think if I think they could have got They could have done something else. Do you know what I mean? If they really had faith in Ocon, they'd have made sure he had that seat at Williams rather than George Russell.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, and it's even
unless they thought that seat would help Russell more than it would help Ocon.
Oh, well, yeah, of course.
But-
that makes sense.
Because Russell's looked good against Kubica,
Yeah.
and it would be easy for Ocon to look good against Kubica.
Yeah.
And it would be going to a shit car rather than coming into the sport in a shit car.
I can't.
Which he'd already done when he drove the Manor.
Yeah.
There's very few rookie drivers that come into Formula One and then have to take a year out and come back better.
Yeah.
Alonso.
You're very few.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of others.
And although he went out of Formula One, he went out of Formula One because his manager was managing Renault, and he was then put in as a test driver when you used to still test cars.
Yeah.
So yeah, he probably did more driving.
When test driver was a full-time job.
He did
than...
more driving than the fucking race drivers at that point.
Yeah.
So that was why they built a team around. So that you were all Ocon's done is sit in the garage next to Toto Wolff for a year. It's not even like he's been out racing DTM or something like that. And the fact that they've already turned around, I know I've said this a fucking 100 times now, but the fact that Mercedes said if another team's interested in you, we'll release you. And he's got that unenviable thing now of they have a junior driver, which, okay, you can't see how good George Russell is because of the car he's in, but he's doing the best job with the machinery he's got. And I still think we're going to see Max Verstappen in that car next year.
Mercedes.
Yeah.
No, the Williams.
Yeah.
That would be confusing. Talk about George Russell and then talk about Max Verstappen in that car. I'm like, wait, hang on.
Yeah, because the more I think about it, I don't care if Red Bull have won a race with Honda or not now. If you have the choice to go to Mercedes and you know Mercedes want you and you can get out of your contract, which is reportedly what you can do, why wouldn't you do it? There is no reasons to stay with Red Bull.
The reasons to stay at Red Bull are the same reasons that McLaren went with Honda in the first place.
Try and beat Mercedes.
Yeah,
but why would you worry about that if you can join Mercedes?
Yeah, but
you can
Verstappen to Mercedes would only be bad for Verstappen if Verstappen isn't as good a driver as Verstappen thinks he is.
Yeah, for 2 years.
I don't think he'll think like that, though. He'll go to Mercedes thinking, I'll beat Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll do that.
I don't think he'll do that either.
No, I don't think he'll go to Mercedes.
I know. I'm almost convinced. I think he's going to be the big driver move, and he's going to go to Mercedes. Vettel's going to go back to Red Bull. Helmut Marko turned around either today or yesterday in an interview and said that he thinks the best thing Vettel can do is leave Ferrari because he needs a change of scenery. I thought that was a loaded comment at the moment. And Ricciardo will go to Ferrari. Unless Alonso goes to Ferrari.
Yeah. I can see Ricciardo perhaps joining Ferrari depending on what happens with Vettel, but that's all silly season stuff.
The interesting thing about Red Bull is the fact that, fine, they've got a Honda engine, which is what... Do we think that's probably on par with a Renault now? Maybe a little bit behind a Renault, but...
It's roundabout with Renault. It's
better than it has been.
I'd say it's equal third now.
Yeah. But the thing with Red Bull was... Even when they had a Renault engine, the engine wasn't doing good. They were still building the best chassis on the grid, and I think for the 2 years now, whatever's gone on, Adrian Newey has not been able to build the best chassis on the grid. Be it whether that's because James Allison has got everything keyed in at Mercedes now, he's proven like we sort of picked him out ages ago, didn't we, when he was first moving to Ferrari. That we thought he could be the next Adrian Newey level designer, and someone always supersedes people. So I don't think Red Bull have an ace card.
So can we just go back to your comment about Ricciardo to Ferrari?
Yeah.
Is that an option?
Yeah.
I think so.
Ferrari have said they want, and Ricciardo has a performance clause in his contract.
Does he?
Yeah, he's going to being taken to court by his ex-manager.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, but yeah, he's got a performance clause in his contract where he can get out of his after a year. It's only a 2-year contract as well. I thought it was I thought it was like 3 or 4 years.
I thought if you were going to get a future world champion in to build your team around,
Yeah, it'd be longer than that.
it'd be longer than that. And
Unless it's 2 years with an option for more because nobody can sign anything past 2021, Concord Agreement, blah,
Maybe,
blah, blah.
yeah.
Possibly.
But it was reported in Autosport as being a 2-year contract for £20 million a year.
So yeah, that's silly season stuff. But
We've got an entire summer break to talk about.
what have you?
yeah.
Also, it's quite silly. People trying to fix Formula One this week.
We've been trying to do it for 4 years.
Yeah, but
I have on a regular basis. No one's listened to me.
well, you say no one's listened to you. Somebody's listened to you.
That's true.
Will Buxton has listened to you a little bit.
But I'm not going to get any of the credit for it, am I?
No, Will Buxton's going to get the credit.
Well, it's the people who run Formula W or W Series who've listened to you and done that in W Series, and then Will Buxton's watched W Series. So it all traces back to you.
Because he was wondering where Ted was.
So yeah, Dan, you were explaining before we recorded exactly what Will Buxton is putting forward for a way to, in inverted commas, fix Formula One.
So this is based on the things we think make exciting races, which is when the whole grid gets a bit jumbled up and you don't know exactly how it's going to finish, and the fast drivers are starting near the back. And how do you do that without deliberately making it random? And his suggestion is on Saturday you have a qualifying race. And you start the qualifying race in reverse championship order. So, person leading the championship is at the back of the grid and pushes forward as far as they can to get the place for the grid on Sunday.
Yeah.
And his theory was, doing this, the people at the fastest cars would end up in the middle of the grid on a Sunday rather than right at the front, which would hopefully lead to some good racing.
Yeah, it's in theory. What we were saying about points for overtaking as well. Was that just
I
something
didn't see that comment, but
Yeah, I'm sure I saw something that said points for the most places gained. So let's just see if I can find the tweet that he did.
But yeah, I've always thought if you want to encourage the teams to do something, you give them points for it. If you want to see more overtakes in Formula One, you give points for overtakes in Formula One.
But it have to be staggered, as we were talking before. Like oh, this guy did the most overtakes, that's 3 extra points. This guy did the second most overtakes, that's 2 extra points. And then this person gets 1 extra point because they were in the top 3 overtakers. But because what you can't do is have, for example, the same before we recorded, but I'm saying now for the benefit of the listeners, if you've got Vettel, for example, does a really good job in the sprint race, starts 3rd from last on the sprint race on Saturday, is brilliant, everything works out well for him, gets all his moves done, and he starts the race on Sunday in 2nd place, and Leclerc has a bit of a tough race or gets hit out at the first corner by somebody, in one of the other top teams, Verstappen, for example. Leclerc, Verstappen are coming together, and then Leclerc's at the back of the grid. Okay, so Sunday's race comes around, and Vettel did a really good job on Saturday, and Leclerc didn't get a chance to. Then Leclerc makes all these places up and finishes 2nd behind Vettel, and Vettel only has to make 1 place up to win the race. You can't then shorten the gap to the leader. Because, well done, you won the race, so you get the maximum amount of points. But the guy who finished 2nd isn't actually 7 points behind you. It's only 4 points behind you now because he overtook everyone. That then takes away from what you've done as the winner of the race. Do you know what I mean? Because somebody else did a better job on the Saturday.
Well, this goes back to what I suggested ages ago, which is you do it with the points for overtakes, but the person who's qualified highest up can say, I would like to be moved down the grid. And then the person who qualified behind them can also opt to move down the grid.
Just once. Because otherwise you'd end up with everybody being like, no, still want to move back.
Yeah, it's weird. The other thing I don't like the idea of is you'd have to have some sort of live score system, and Formula One's data would end up looking like fucking pointless or something.
Yeah, like some sort of maths
Yeah.
equation. Trying to work out what run rate you need in cricket's bad enough.
Yeah.
I know it's just a simple division.
F1 takes over the Duckworth-Lewis method. No,
exactly.
Which usually leaves teams needing 36 runs off the last ball.
Right.
And that never goes well.
How many of those do you need for a rounder?
2 baskets and a 3-pointer.
Ace.
Shall we move on?
Yeah, we can do. But
Probably should. Back to Max Verstappen with his new teammate,
Lando Norris.
Lando Norris,
Not in Formula 1.
in endurance racing.
Yeah.
iRacing, actual
watched some of it.
esports. Lando twitched the whole thing on his Twitch TV stream. Even when he went to bed, just left it running, saying I'll be back in the morning. And they were doing really, really well until Max had a brake failure 15 minutes before the end of the race.
On his sim, we should say, not in the game. It was his. It was
an actual physical pedal problem on his rig.
Yeah, his sim broke. They were miles ahead anyway, weren't they?
Well, he lost a lap. Bearing in mind he had to crawl back to the pits without a brake, and then Lando took the car over when he got back to the pits, and they still won by 27 seconds.
Yeah, yeah. They were at 1.5 laps ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was really funny because I looked at when I first started watching it when it started, they were like 50th. And then the next day, when I looked at it, they were 5 laps ahead
In first.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I think it was nice. I think esports are all well and good, but I think there's something heartwarming to see, like
actual drivers doing
actual
this.
Drivers do it and go right.
Well, it's
stick to your computer games. Like.
It's stirred the pot a bit, hasn't it? Because they've done their computer endurance race, sim endurance race. Do you reckon you see Max Verstappen giving Le Mans a go in an Aston? They're like the Aston Valkyrie.
I think
Aston Martin want to speak to Max and Jos about driving an Aston Martin in the hypercar class in 2020.
Because Jos does endurance racing every now and again, or did endurance racing. I don't know if he still does.
Did you guys read the article about Aston Martin? This is really interesting. That for what would appear to be no apparent reason, Aston Martin like an interview thing out where they were talking about the new hypercar. And they were asked about Red Bull, and they said, "Well, we stand ready in case Honda wants to pull out of Formula One."
Yeah, there was no sort of grounds to that. It was just, hang on a second, what the hell's going on here?
But here's the question, because
I always thought it was weird that it's Aston Martin, Red Bull Racing, Honda,
Renault.
Yeah.
But what I found really interesting about the Aston Martin thing is they threw it out in such a casual way, as if to say, "Yeah, if Honda pull out, we'll just supply a Formula One engine." If there's even a chance of them supplying a Formula One engine in 2021, that program must be balls deep now, and has been balls deep for at least 3 years.
they did build a great big new facility a year ago.
Just round the corner from Red Bull's factory in Milton Keynes.
Yeah, they did do that, and also they will have full access to how the Honda engine works as a title sponsor. They'll be able to see how that works. Because we're not here as an engine supplier; we're just here as a title sponsor. So they'll be able to see what's going on. Whether or not they do enter as a team, I've always suspected that they might end up taking the team off of Red Bull, and
Toro
it becomes.
Rosso.
I think they'd take the big boy team. I think it would become Aston Martin Formula One.
Do you not think there's a chance that Honda don't pull out of Formula One and still keep supplying Red Bull, and Toro Rosso end up being the Toro Rosso Aston Martin?
No. I think the other way around. I think Honda will buy Toro Rosso and Aston Martin will buy Red Bull.
Let's say Honda are doing better, but they're still not in championship winning territory. Do you not think that's a move Red Bull would make to give themselves more options engine wise? You want to bring an engine to Formula One, stick it in Toro Rosso. We'll see how that goes.
What they did with Honda.
It's what they did with Ferrari as well. Remember, they had a Ferrari engine.
Because at one point Red Bull had the Ferrari and Toro Rosso had the Renault, and then they swapped.
Yeah, it's when the Toro Rosso was better than the Red Bull that year, wasn't it? When Vettel won a race.
Yeah.
So it's
we'll take the engine and the driver from that car and the car from that team.
Red Bull, Toro Rosso has always been fucking Red Bull's Area 51, hasn't it? It's the test bed for
it wasn't supposed to be
in
rules wise. It's not in inverted commas allowed to be, but it is.
Yeah. So I can't see if they 2021 is 2 years away. You can't
at the moment it might be 4.
Do you know what? Reading Ross Brawn's thing about him saying some of the teams are going to backlash towards the new rules. the way I read it, I think Ross Brawn is ready to be the guy that says, "There's the rules, sign the paper." It seems that's the way it's going.
Well, he's now set up his official, the official Ross Brawn department, hasn't he?
Well, it's happening. It's happening in October.
Yeah.
End of October is when you get. The end of the 19th is ringing a bell in my head for some reason.
Is that when he leaves Formula One without a deal?
No, that's when. Yeah. Yeah.
Roxit?
Bronxit. Brexit? No, hang on. But the rules are supposed to be presented to the FIA Council as finished, and here they are. This is what the Formula is going to be like 2021. I'm pretty sure it's the 19th of October this year.
Yeah.
But I mean, Ross Brawn has now set up a department within Formula One to go over what the rules are going to be and see if they can find any loopholes.
Yeah.
He's basically set up a team to say, be my Ferrari team from 2002 onwards.
Yeah.
I could just see in an office with like 80% scale clones of Ross Brawn poring over paperwork.
I think they have to. I think they have to push the rules forward, because if they
and a loophole team is a good thing.
If they push it back now, I think it's going to be so damaging for the sport, because it's hemorrhaging. It's been hemorrhaging viewers, but right now as well with the I think with people like Max Verstappen, even things like what we just talked about with Max and Lando doing the iRacing. Like, I saw a 11-year-old kid in a Max Verstappen t-shirt in ShopRite the other day.
Yeah,
when I was going around, and there is finally in Formula One what appears to be young drivers that will interest young people to get them into the sport. And if they don't,
rather than young drivers coming into the sport to impress old people,
if they don't jump on this now, it could be fucked.
I mean, the young drivers that are coming into the sport are impressing old people because we're impressed.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, they've got that connection, haven't they, with the younger generation, rather than coming in as like, I'm the young buck and everybody else is older than me, therefore I'm talking to them.
Well, I mean, I remember thinking
there's this interaction with the fans, isn't there? I mean, you look at Lando.
Look at Lando.
Yeah, Lando's got a huge following online purely because he's great with his social media, and he is great with his social media. He's very, very funny with it.
Yeah.
Although when he has to sign something like 500 miniature replica helmets, I don't fancy his job.
Well,
no,
I think,
but his tweet was, "I'm going to be here all day."
Yeah, I think people forget this though. I think people forget how important it is, because I can still remember thinking how cool it was when Jenson Button got the Williams drive, and then I realised he's like a year older than I am. It does make you have a connection with people. It does do. So I think I can't see any bad going from this, but they need to energise the sport as well.
Yeah.
And I think one way of doing that, to be honest, is just getting rid of all these paywalls.
Yes.
All right, F1 TV, something that you can pay for. Mm-hmm. But the number of countries that have got pay TV only, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I there's a little bit of me thinks that with everything going as a subscription service, Formula One might be going the wrong way there too, because although I like the idea of not paying for Sky if I don't want Sky, but realistically, even if I'm totally honest with myself, I'd still have to buy Sky because I've got a family and we want to watch television that isn't just freeview channels.
You've got to feed your son's Peppa Pig addiction somehow.
Exactly. Well, that's on Netflix, but
is it?
Yeah, but not the new ones. And you don't want to watch things out of order. The problem I've got with this is when everything becomes a subscription service, you can have Disney before the end of the year. So there's another £10 that people are going to find. Netflix has just gone up.
I think that's what Paul's saying, isn't it? That you got the subscription service for full access for people who want everything.
Yeah.
But it should also be on like a free-to-air channel, just the race, maybe.
Just the race. Highlights of qualifying and practice. But if you want to watch the race, make that free.
I think it should be on YouTube.
Formula E does it, doesn't it?
I think the races should be on YouTube, yeah.
Formula E did it in certain countries. I think there was some countries where it was geo-blocked.
Yeah.
China.
Probably.
Everything is.
Well, isn't that just YouTube is blocked?
The internet is blocked in China. China has its own internet, doesn't it? Which is very interesting.
Pretty much, yeah.
The Great Firewall of China.
Yeah. Yes.
You mean you've never heard that before?
No, that's very funny. I haven't ever heard that before.
But I'd be interested to know like what revenue deal Formula One could strike up with YouTube.
Yeah, something along those lines.
Because something like YouTube is going to get a very special deal. It's going to be slightly different to me putting pictures of me, like, I don't know, unboxing fucking
biscuits,
fish sticks.
Yeah.
Watch out for that video. We will do one.
But it's an accessibility thing, isn't it? I know what you're saying.
I'm surprised that deal would be different.
A
global sport versus fish sticks.
Unboxing fish sticks isn't a laborious task. There is no reason why they should be individually wrapped. But I just think...
And also, I watched the French Grand Prix. That was a laborious task.
Not to American listeners. What you call fish sticks, we call fish fingers. What we call fish sticks is surimi fish.
Yes.
Or crab sticks, even though they've got... Oh, you can't call them crab sticks because...
There's no crab in them.
There's no crab in them.
Yeah.
Seafood sticks.
Seafood sticks.
The other thing, I often liken Formula One because I think as an entity, as like a travelling circus, I think it is very similar to WWE in that respect.
It's just that they don't say next week on this very track.
Yet.
Not yet. We all saw the USGP, didn't we, a couple of years ago when they all made their entrances. It's not that far off, is it?
And in wrestling terms, Nelson Piquet Jr. did the job for Alonso.
But Alonso forgot to put Piquet over.
But I think WWE is, although its television numbers are fucking in the absolute bin, they've never been lower for the weekly television. They have the biggest YouTube channel on YouTube. No other YouTube gets as many views as WWE does. And I can't help think that Formula One could be like that.
Well, I mean, they do have mini highlights that they put on the YouTube channel, but I think it does take more than that.
F1 TV's good on YouTube. That's how I watch the welcome to the weekend or whatever it's called. The whatever
Paddock Pass.
Buxton's Paddock Pass.
Yeah.
And there is another one. Maybe it is called Welcome to the Weekend.
Sky shows Welcome to the Weekend.
Oh, is it right? Whatever his version is, because if I can get out of watching Sky coverage, I'll fucking do it.
Everyone keeps looking like they're about to say something.
No, all I was about to say is that I believe that
in miracles.
I believe in miracles.
Where are you from? Anyway,
yeah, I'm not following that up.
No, don't. No, please don't.
Yeah, I believe that free to air is the best way to get, and I've said this before, eyes on the screen, on the cars, on the sponsors. Just for the race. From the ident to the podium, then done. But if you want more than that, if you want to see, like you talk about WWE, if you want to see the drivers turning up at the track, if you want to see the press interviews, on the Thursdays, and you want the watch the practice on the Fridays, and the coverage that the official media can give on those days, then subscription is for those people. But
though, do you need more than highlights on free to air?
Just a full race, just
I
a full race.
I think you need it live if you want to do it.
A start.
I mean, we all need to watch the race live because we're
fans.
We're fans. We're into the sport. But to get the people watching it,
I don't think anyone
aren't
wants
highlights possibly even better where you've got
because nobody wants
where you've got 60 minutes of action rather than 2 hours with.
You're Schrodinger's Dan at the minute because you're right and wrong at the same time.
And I think I know what Lee's going to say, but I'm not going to say
it's a good idea to get people into the sport. But as soon as you've got them into the sport, they're going to want to watch the races live. But then they're going to have to go through the paywall.
But what's the point of watching the highlights 3 hours after the race is finished?
Exactly,
that's
my point.
If you already know what's happened.
But you can't hide from it.
We've all had to record a race before. You just have
but
to
you can't hide from it with the way that
doing that every week. It was easy to do 10 years ago.
Yeah, I turn the internet off my phone. It's fine. You press there's a little button that says
off.
mobile internet. You turn that off. It's like being in 1992 again. It's amazing.
Does that mean I can have long hair again?
Yep.
Oh, great.
Nigel Mansell's going to win.
So yeah,
Williams are going to win.
Oh God!
The thing is, Formula One needs to get itself to the point, like I know every race can't be a flag to flag thriller. You can't have that.
Yeah.
No, sport doesn't work that way. But it does need to get itself in the position where it's more likely than not Formula One is must see television.
Yeah,
and at the moment it's not.
No, I think we can all agree on that. I mean, this is what 2021.
Unless you're a super fan, like doing fucking podcasts.
Yeah, like us. Yeah.
But I think this is what the part of the 2021 regulations are, where it's improving the show.
Let's hope so.
And just hope this time they get it right.
Mm-hmm.
Because they've all been half measures, haven't they? Let's be honest. Since 1997, everything they've done has been a half measure.
Yeah.
Everything.
Everything since they shrunk the cars.
Yeah. I think as well, maybe... Do you remember that feeling, right? This is going to start weird, but it will come to a point. Remember that feeling like back when just before the first iPhone came out, yeah? You know, you had a few of the Sony Ericsson phones with like plastic screens, which were a bit weird and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But just before the iPhone came out, there was this feeling that mobile internet was starting to become a thing, and home internet was starting to get fast-ish, and there was that feeling that there was going to be a jump. Something was going to change, which was going to change the way we interacted with the world on a day-to-day basis. And I haven't felt that feeling until now, when I feel that there's something between like getting faster mobile internet and AR becoming more ubiquitous. I think, you know, as soon as some wearables and stuff come out that really take advantage of it, and if we've got fast enough internet to feed these things like AR glasses and stuff,
Yeah.
I feel we're at that sort of 2-3 year period where in 5 years' time, for instance, all of a sudden the way we interact with things is going to be completely different to what it was in 2019, and Formula One will need to move forward as well, because otherwise the things get lost in the shuffle, and Formula One has to be right at the tip of technology. I'm amazed that you can't watch Formula One races in VR yet. Yeah, I'm away, even if it's not live.
Well, they've got the 360 cameras, haven't they? They're trialing though. They're not available for viewing live when it's on TV. You know,
but even if it was free, even if it was like highlights that are on YouTube 360, which you can watch, like skip between 5 cameras dotted around the track and watch the highlights. I'm amazed that Formula One hasn't done that yet, because Formula One is supposed to be the forward-thinking sport, and I don't think that has to be road relevance anymore. I think maybe if they just use technology to be like the test bed of things, it keeps them current.
Well, that's exactly what it is. You know, they don't think of road relevance, or they weren't thinking of road relevance when they started doing these things.
No.
It's just that that technology filtered down to cars. Things like ABS and stuff like that all came from Formula One.
Spoiler, people: Halos aren't road relevant. You've got roofs.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, you things like KERS batteries were starting to appear in cars, not for extra power, but for recovering energy from braking, and then hybrid technology sort of took over. And
Formula E has the road relevance now,
and now you've got a Prius winning Le Mans.
Yeah. But for Formula E and WEC, you can say they're the road relevant motorsports now. Yeah, but I don't think Formula One can get itself back in the game when it comes to road relevance.
No, I think it totally can. If it focuses on technology, that technology will eventually filter down.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as the like electric cars and stuff like that, unless they go, like I say, unless some advancements made where all of a sudden we can make hydrogen really easily and cheaply and make it stable, that might be where Formula One goes. But
it's extracting hydrogen from everything else that it's attached to,
and stopping it turning into bombs.
That's not too much of an issue. It's just extracting it from what it's already attached to.
So, I don't know. I just think Formula One needs to do this 2021 thing, or it risks looking really old, really fast. And it could happen. Like I was only saying to my father, we're watching the British Grand Prix, because Plato was being interviewed. I was like, do you remember when fucking British touring cars was a worldwide watched sport?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Had more views than
Yeah.
Formula One.
Yeah,
Placed-
about 25
John
years, about
Cleland.
25 years
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah, the Toka
James
touring
Thompson.
car. Yeah, Toka touring car video
The
games.
young James Thompson, his name was.
Is he still the young James Thompson, even though he's probably, like 45 now?
Yeah.
No.
Toka touring cars was selling the same sort of amount of copies on PlayStation as FIFA was,
Yeah, yeah.
but because
Tim Harvey.
because British touring cars didn't think to the future of what they were supposed to do next, it's fucked. Nobody watches British touring cars anymore.
What-
They put
the
mandatory pit stops in to make the races more interesting,
Yeah.
and it made the races boring.
The
Yeah.
the reason that British touring cars fell apart was after the global financial crisis,
Yeah.
when they left. They were left with was it Seat and
Mhm.
Ford, and that was it
Yeah,
in the touring cars. There were no other manufacturers. I think Mitsubishi came back in, and then left again. I think we were left with two main manufacturers.
yeah.
And that was literally it.
Mhm.
World Rally Championship suffered for a few years because of that, because that was Citroen and Ford, I think, as well.
But they went through the same thing that WEC that WEC has been through.
Team Hulk Hogan, yeah.
Yeah, but WWEC
In the 24-hour races, you tag your teammate in.
with a chair, and
That would be so good.
the,
Smack. Oh, god damn it.
you can't get in the car until you've pinned your teammate.
Got to wait behind ropes in the garage, like your arm out. Like,
Anyone see that touring car driver that I think it was in the TCR series got banned for the rest of the season after he got shunted off the track at the Red Bull Ring at the weekend
Gonna have gimmick infringement.
and went back into the pits, decided to have more than a few words with the guy he thought shoved him off. As it turned out, it was his teammate that he was about to thump. Ended up hitting his wife and knocking her over the bonnet of this guy's car, and then tried to rip the door off the teammate of the guy who hit him's car. He now won't be racing again for the rest of the season.
yeah, I wonder why.
He had a terrible day, didn't he?
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah. So Formula One needs to save itself. That's all.
It will do.
Yeah.
The drawings look good for 2021 or whenever
But
that
that's
happens.
why they have to happen, though.
Yeah.
They have to happen in Formula One, because I think they'll be in 2021. Because if we just get another flop into the new era of racing, again, we're going to sign new Concord agreements, so we probably won't have
It has to be a
it's gonna be at
vision,
least
not
3
a
years,
compromise.
isn't it? Yeah, you're right.
And it doesn't matter if it's road relevant or
No.
if it's not road relevant. It has to be someone saying, "This is what we're doing. This is why. This is where it's going."
And that's what's happening. So
I mean,
I think we're in safe hands.
2021 is was it worth Liberty buying it out, or is it just more of the same under a different name? Because this is the first chance that they've got
Yeah.
to put their stamp on it. Because officially we're still racing under Bernie rules.
Yeah.
It's just that there's a different company heading it up. So they've got to make it their own sport, but they've got to appeal to the traditionalists and attract new fans as well, all at the same time. It's a difficult job.
See, what Formula One should be doing is turn around. Even if you get the likes of Ferrari that don't like what's happening rule wise, or say because Mercedes and Ferrari seem to be very buddy about all this sort of thing, which I think's not good for the sport and not good for fans. They need to turn around and say, well, that's fine. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. And say you do lose Ferrari, or you do lose, I don't know, say Haas or Force India, or someone pisses off, yeah?
Force India went last year.
Yeah, but it might be back next year. We never know. It might. They want to make a sport that even if they lose a couple of teams, the year after, the sport is that good. The teams either regret leaving or come back the year after.
Or there's enough interest to get new teams
Yeah.
in because it's that good again.
Would you put up, let's say Formula One in 2021 is fucking amazing, and every team on the grid has at least a chance of a podium, and five teams have a chance of winning races. Would you put up with losing 3 teams to have that? I would.
It depends.
If the racing was that good between the cars that were on the track, I don't think you'd miss.
I remember about 7 or 8 years ago when there was only 16 bikes on the MotoGP grid, and look how good MotoGP is these days.
Yeah, MotoGP now has recovered is brilliant.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And because of the rules that they'd made, which they admitted they were a mistake and changed them as soon as they could,
Yeah.
it got better.
Mm-hmm.
And more teams wanted to come in.
Yeah.
and they tweak the rules to encourage the new teams coming into this new, more competitive sport. And now you get non-manufacturer teams winning races on a podium.
Oddly enough, though, I think MotoGP has lost some of its lure to fans because of the slightly more random element to the results.
No, I think it's lost its allure to the fans because it's gone behind a paywall.
Sometimes Marquez wins by a bit, sometimes he wins by shitloads. Yeah, that's really random.
No, but I mean, but the people behind him just seem to jockey. There's no form, if you know what I mean, and people kind of like form in sports. Do you get me?
I get you, but I think
people like form in sports, but don't like the same people winning every week.
Yeah, I know. It's
people are stupid.
It's a difficult balance, but you get what I mean.
I do know what you mean. Yeah.
Well, you want to watch something that's competitive, but you don't want to watch something that's random.
Yeah.
You watch football knowing that Arsenal aren't going to win the league, but they're probably going to finish in the top six.
Yeah. In the same way, like, but we watched those first race where we got like 7 different winners from 7 different races.
2012.
Yeah. And it was just like, what the fuck is going on here?
Well, we were talking at the time, weren't we, about it might just take all the second place finishes tripping over each other to give any one of the top 6 drivers a championship.
Yeah. But it didn't work out like that in the end.
No.
What we got was a few random winners and then form after that.
Yeah.
So the wins didn't mean anything. Maldonado winning didn't mean anything. It didn't all of a sudden mean that Williams were able to fight for wins. It was just on that day in history.
And if Gutierrez had been there, he'd have still finished 11th.
Yeah.
But if you look at those winners, ignoring the obvious one, they were all good drivers in good cars.
Yeah. But they didn't all fight for a championship.
No.
And that's kind of what you want, isn't it? If you're going to have different winners, you want them all to have a chance of winning the championship.
Yeah.
And the last time that was done, Rosberg became champion. Keke Rosberg won the driver's title with only 1 win.
Yes, yeah.
They only raced, was it 14 races that season?
Yeah,
So.
it wasn't as many as it is now. Should we go back to what's happening now?
Let's do that.
Because we have a German Grand Prix this weekend. Actually, before we do, just want to give a shout out to the McMongle Horde, who are currently in Bratislava with our logo on their car.
Vince McMongle.
Yeah, okay.
This is a heavy WWE episode.
You need to start a wrestling podcast again.
Can you do it on a Monday night and leave us to talk about F1?
No, because then you'd have no listeners.
Anyway, I just want to give a shout out to the guys from the McMongle Horde who are driving to Mongolia.
Yeah.
And they've got as far as Bratislava and parked up next to the Isle of Man car tonight.
Nice.
We don't know the Isle of Man entry. We just know it's a car from the Isle of Man.
Yeah, we just saw an article about them. They've got a furry rainbow car, but
they didn't ask us for sponsorship. Well, the Mongol Horde didn't.
They just said, "Can we have a logo to stick on the car? And we'll drive it to Mongolia." It's like, there you go.
Absolutely.
You'll be hearing from our lawyer cat.
So, good luck to those guys, and hope you make it to Ulaanbaatar in one piece.
Yes.
Still with our logo.
And back.
And back. They're driving back now. They've decided to drive back to save money rather than get flights.
Okay.
Definitely don't set fire to the Manx car, because it definitely would be hilarious.
With this rainbow fur.
Yeah.
If you just happened. No.
I mean, like, seriously, it wouldn't be hilarious.
So, German Grand Prix this weekend.
Yes.
Have we got used to the new Hockenheim yet? Do we still pine for the old fast one?
No.
A little.
I missed the track because it was interesting, but
going through the forest, it was one of the traditional tracks, wasn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Shit race.
We've had this conversation in years past as well. Last year we probably did the same conversation, but I miss going through the trees because not me personally, but I miss the cars going through the trees because that's the way they raced, going way back to 1950 something.
It looked nice.
You know, Jim Clark was killed at Hockenheim on the Superfast. It was dangerous way back in the 60s, and all they did was even to the 90s just put up some Armco barrier, and they were still basically on the same circuit. But of course, you know, the way that safety has evolved, there's no way that you'd sanction racing on that circuit now. You just can't.
It was nice seeing how quick a Formula One car would go. in a straight line. You could see how fast with a low drag car they would go.
Yeah.
But I still think the best part of Hockenheim is still there, which is the complex.
The stadium complex.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Did Tilke do the new internal part of the circuit?
Probably.
It's okay. It's not a terrible circuit. It's a very chopped down version of what Hockenheim was. It doesn't mean the same to me, but
It's actually more like a small Nürburgring now, isn't it? Than a Hockenheim.
yeah, I know what you mean.
It's like a smaller,
the short
slightly
Nürburgring.
smaller version.
Yeah, Nürburgring. Obviously, even the short Grand Prix
Yeah,
version
not
still
the
has its classic corners though, much like Hockenheim does. Still the stadium section in that. But the
smaller and sanitised version. It's the green heck.
but the southern heck. Hockenheim Ring, to give it its official name, is the. It's still fast. It's got that long sweeping back straight in inverted commas, one long turn. But we had quite a controversial race there last year, didn't we? You remember Hamilton broke down in qualifying, and then had to start from the back of the grid. Vettel crashed. Hamilton aborted his pit entry, didn't he? Crossed over the pit lane, and they won.
In, out, in, or do what you want, mate.
Yeah. And he won the race, but did he break the rules?
Well, the steward said not.
The steward said not, and he kept his win,
Yeah.
starting from the back of the grid. An interesting race last year. Doesn't always throw up an interesting race, though, Hockenheim.
No.
There's a couple of overtaking spots.
I think we'll be okay this year. Because realistically, we've only had one boring race. Do you know what I mean? And the cars...
There's been a couple, but yeah.
But, I mean, like, boring.
Like France boring.
Yeah. So, and the cars can sort of follow each other a bit better now. You can overtake around Hockenheim. I think it'll be all right.
Apparently, there's a good chance of rain on Saturday,
Oh, that's good.
which could mix qualifying up a little bit.
Good unless you're Vettel.
We haven't had a properly wet race this year, have we? Like chucking it down all race.
No.
We could do with one.
Might mix qualifying about even though the best wet weather driver is in the best car.
Well, it'll mix the other 19.
Max will be up
places.
there.
Yeah.
He'll get a front row out of it.
Yeah.
We've yet to see who's going to get grid penalties this week, but I'm sure there's going to be engine changes.
Probably, yeah. I'd have thought so.
Yeah. Haas have said that they're going to try the split aero again this time, and Grosjean will still use the Australian setup, with Magnussen on the one that he would have used in Silverstone.
So is that code for Grosjean's going to Australia to test out the car whilst Ocon races in Germany?
Very possible.
At the moment, with the way that it's going and everything we've talked about, nothing would surprise me. But I still think we're going to see Grosjean in the car this weekend just to get that last one.
I think we are, yeah. But yeah, it was a turning point in last year's championship for me when Vettel put it in the barriers. Hamilton winning the race when he, on Saturday you would have said, "Oh, Vettel's got the stranglehold on the championship now," and then all of a sudden after that, I think it was just the Belgian Grand Prix. It looked like Ferrari had it.
Yeah.
And everything aside from that was just Ferrari going, we don't want to win this race. We don't want to win this race either.
Can you ever think of another driver where there's been so many moments when you can go, oh, that's where he lost it. Oh, no, that's where he lost it. No, he lost it here. And by it, I mean his fucking mind. I can't think of another driver. Like I only ever thought about Alonso, where you could see how he was broken when he lost that World Championship in Brazil.
Yeah.
I still don't think he was the same driver after that. But like Vettel seems to have just had so many knocks over the last 3 years.
Turning points have gone all against him. That's the thing, isn't it? Yeah.
I think the only other one that we could probably say with any degree of certainty was, how many times did we say, have we just seen Alonso's last race while he was with McLaren?
Yeah, we saw that.
The Canadian Grand Prix where he watched the last half dozen laps from the stand.
Yeah, I thought that was him. I thought he'd finished. I thought he was just, that's me, I'm done.
Yeah, I remember you saying that at the time. The whole GP2 engine thing in Japan.
Yeah.
Right in front of the Honda top brass.
Brazil in the deck chair.
Yeah. And Brazil on the podium.
That was hilarious.
Hungary in the F1 sanction deck chair saying "See you after the summer."
Yeah.
Yeah, that was quite funny actually. But the
What about we bring it back to Alonso?
McLaren.
Yeah, that's true.
But the
It's because we miss him.
we do miss
let's
him.
be honest,
Yeah, we
we
do
all
miss
miss him a
Fernando a
bit.
little bit. Yeah. The other championship turning point I could speak about that doesn't involve Vettel in recent years was Hamilton's engine blow in Malaysia when Rosberg won the title.
Yeah.
Was it like 5 points? I think he missed out to Rosberg in the end.
Yeah.
And Rosberg finished like second or third in that race because he started from way back. He ended up growing his points total over Lewis rather than the other way around. That's, turning points shouldn't come as early as Germany, but last year they did.
Yeah. I'd argue that Baku, there was a turning point in Baku for Vettel when he tried
2017.
shoved himself into Hamilton. That was the beginning of the end of Sebastian Vettel, or
Yeah,
at least.
I don't think it was a turning point for that season, but
No.
for
In his career.
his career, you
yeah.
can definitely point to that.
And again, to repeat ourselves from last week and the week before that, and the week before that, and the week before that, this season defines Sebastian Vettel's career.
You just watch. Next year he'll be
Third.
I think if he can leave the team and go somewhere
world
else,
champion in a Haas.
I don't think he'll be in Ferrari next
Right,
year.
okay, Dan.
If we're going for bold predictions, Lance Stroll to make it to... No, sorry, I can't.
I would almost guarantee he won't be in a Formula One. He won't be in a Ferrari next year.
Maybe even have a year out, but we'll see. But he's never gone well at the German Grand Prix, though, has he?
No,
Has he ever won it? I don't think he has.
he did really well last year for a while.
And then, as we just
And
said,
then the world's slowest crash.
yeah. On slick tyres in wet-ish conditions.
The world's
on-
angriest Seb as well.
On damp grass.
I remember like slamming the steering wheel with his hands
Yeah.
when he did it. He was not a happy man.
It was his own mistake.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, your own mistake.
His own mistake, completely unnecessary.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not surprised he was angry.
Yeah, should have extended his championship lead. Instead, he gave it back to Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah.
That race.
Never
I thought-
to be seen again.
But Mercedes own the Hockenheim ring as well, don't they? There's a huge star, the Mercedes 3-point star.
Yeah, they also sponsor the race. Mercedes are coming up with a special livery this weekend because it's the 200th race for Mercedes in Formula One. They're celebrating the 125th anniversary of the first Daimler engineered racing car.
That 200th race since they came back, or 200th race in totals, including the ones from the 50s?
I assume since they came back.
Okay.
George, what we thinking? All silver with a white number, like circle
Maybe.
with the number in on the front.
Yeah, I think it's going to be something like that.
They had red numbers on as well, didn't they?
Mm.
That it was quite famous having the red numbers.
White circle, red numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon that's the kind of thing that we'll see from them this weekend.
Be nice.
Classic livery. Why not?
Yeah.
I don't mind when they do these one-off things, But
Yeah, no, I like it.
Again, this is another Will Buxton thing. Every team should one race a year be allowed to do a throwback livery.
I still stand by the fact that every team should be allowed to do whatever the fuck they want with both cars.
Yeah, different liveries or whatever.
Yeah. So if like Lewis Hamilton is, he's got like Monster backing. If Monster are willing to put the money into the team, that car can
That
be
monster
the
car,
monster
yeah,
car.
is Lewis Hamilton's car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it'd add more identity because people say
Like
well, you get
Telefonica would have been
confused.
like Alonso's McLaren or
Yeah.
Renault or whatever,
Yeah.
whereas you could have had a different sponsor with Trulli's car or Fisichella
Yeah.
or whoever, yeah.
But I also think it would help financially as well for teams, because if you've got if all of a sudden you can have two different sponsors on the cars, then that means your sponsorship doesn't have to be as much. So there's more opportunity to get sponsors in.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I'm always amazed that we haven't had a Formula One car with a Coca-Cola livery, like a full-on like title sponsor.
Yeah.
Because Coca-Cola sponsorship always looks cool on racing cars, always, and they've got all of the money in the world.
Yeah. But what do we get? A little logo on the McLaren.
Yeah, and they had a half go at advertising Burn for a while.
Don't talk to me about Burn, we've done that before.
They own some of the rights to Monster as well, so
Yeah.
they are on Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah, I'm sure Coca-Cola own many things.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, what do you think Petronas Petrol's made out of?
It's not even treated.
Dead,
It's just straight
dead
from the
Coca-Cola
can.
employees.
Shall we do some predictions?
Why
Yeah,
not?
let's do that.
Right, we will do people what aren't here first, of which there are the usual two. Sean has gone for a Hamilton win, Bottas second, Verstappen third, and a bonus prediction: Bottas' new contract announcement on Thursday.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Brave.
Because, well, Mercedes are gonna. They announced Bottas' latest one-year deal at the German Grand Prix last year. I can see where she's coming from on that.
I still don't think it would be risky for Mercedes to keep Bottas now.
Sean's totally stolen my predictions for this weekend. But we've got somebody else to...
We've got somebody else.
Guest predictor.
Our usual guest predictor this week, which is Susie Kennedy, formerly of What Culture, F1 and wrestling fan, constant tweeter. She's written, rather than the predictions, she's written quite a bit, which I'm going to post on the website.
It's not a prediction, that's an essay.
That's not this week's Total Shunt, is it?
I'm hoping not.
It's not an essay, it's a dissertation.
What's the predictions?
Where do we begin? We'll begin with the top. I'll just scroll down 3 pages to it. She's going for Hamilton win, Leclerc second, Verstappen third, Bottas fourth, Vettel fifth, or he'll win, or he's going in the wall again, or up someone's arse.
I think that's got a subsection as well.
Yeah. Disclaimer. Now this is out in the universe.
Got its own subreddit, hasn't it?
Yeah. Now this is out in the universe. This could all be completely wrong. It'll rain. Raikkonen will win, and we'll all be sitting there with ice creams, just like, what the fuck just happened? There is a lot more. I'm gonna put the whole thing on the website because this is one of the funniest things that anyone has actually ever done for us.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Susie.
We're gonna have to get Susie on the show one day.
Yeah, it'd be great.
We will sort something out because she's genuinely funny on Twitter. I will link to her Twitter on the website too. Right, who is going with predictions next when I'm in a position to write stuff down?
I'll go, because I always go last, because I can never make my mind up. I still haven't made my mind up, but I just don't think I should go last. Hamilton win. Max second. Bottas third.
Okay.
Right. We are going to get messages on Twitter saying that we're obviously Vettel haters and we've been slamming him all episode.
Not really.
Oh, yeah, we are.
Okay,
Have you ever looked at the Twitter messages?
Yeah, I do look at them.
I'm gonna go a bit dragnet here, but just the facts, ma'am.
Do you know what? I'll stop when he stops being shit.
Vettel win, Hamilton second, Leclerc third.
Oh, Ferrari resurgence. I've just had to do
Look
a
at
bit...
you looking for the new Facebook follows.
Which is a point. If you don't already follow us on Facebook, go to facebook.com/3legs4wheels. Give us a like and a follow.
Yeah, do it now.
And I was going to go exactly the same as what Sean's gone for, but do I put in a risky one on the fact that it might rain? Might rain? Because let's be honest, it's a week away. That rain could shift by a day onto race day.
Yeah.
Or it could not rain at all.
Or it could not rain at all.
Every Formula One race appears to have a 45% chance of rain.
An images of engineers looking at a radar screen.
Yeah, that was one of my favourite Martin Brundle-isms, is when he turned around and he said, and there's a 20% chance of rain today, which means there is an 80% chance of dry.
It's not wrong. I'll go Bottas, Hamilton, Verstappen.
Ooh.
Oh, wow. And I will go...
And if it rains, it's going to be Hamilton, Vettel,
Norris,
yeah.
I'm going to go Hamilton, Leclerc, Verstappen.
Okay.
So, right, they are saved. You should all get copies of those just to prove there's no shenanigans going on.
Yeah, but we'll all talk for about 20 hours before the race on Sunday, so I can't be bothered scrolling back through. How did I do?
I'll just believe what Paul tells me.
Yeah.
I'll be putting them on the website later on anyway. Any bold predictions do we think? Are we going to see Lance Stroll in Q2? I'm saying no.
I'm saying Ocon at the race, in a car. That's
in
my
a
bold
car?
prediction.
That's your bold prediction. Oh, okay, that is brave.
Are Haas going to make it to the first round of pit stops? Or will we see both Hasses by the first round of pit stops?
Ooh,
We'll see both Hasses in the pits.
my bold prediction is rumours circulating about Verstappen going to Mercedes going mega balls.
Which is why I think I'm agreeing with Sean on this one. Mercedes will put an end to that by making some form of contract announcement this weekend.
I think it would be a daft move. I can't help but think that as good as Lewis is doing, they need to think 2021's coming up. There's big rule changes. You want the team you go into 2020 with. You want to go into 2021 with, and Hamilton is at that age now where he's at the peak of his career, but they have to begin to look past him.
And where they are looking is currently driving a Williams.
Well, no, not if they can get Max Verstappen.
Kubica is not going to Mercedes.
No, because he'll go to Ferrari because that's what he was meant to do before his accident.
We're getting back onto silly season territory again.
No.
We will do more.
This is more stupid season.
Yeah, we'll do more silly season after the Hungarian Grand Prix because that's all we'll have to talk about.
My
Yes.
bold prediction is going to be Danny Ricciardo to be best of the rest.
Yeah, possibly.
Ooh.
It's good call. Renault seem to have dragged themselves back up to the middle of the grid round by McLaren, don't they?
Yeah, Danny Ricciardo to finish 5th.
Because they were on pace with them in Silverstone, which tends to be a chassis circuit. So
Yeah.
whatever they've bolted onto that car seems to have worked. Isn't it Hockenheim where we're supposed to see a major upgrade for Sahara Force Sport
Point.
Pink?
They
I think so, yeah.
said they were going to bring one in for then. They seem to have gone
So yeah,
a little-
strolling
Quiet.
Q2.
they've gone a little bit quiet on that. Are we not going to see it until Belgium maybe? Because there's no point bringing in big car upgrades for Hungary. Because by that's the last
Unless
chassis circuit until Japan, and by the time you get to Japan, everything you put on the car in Hungary is out of date.
Yeah, unless it's Hungary specific.
My bold prediction for Stroll is that he doesn't get into Q3 for the whole year. Sorry, Q2 for the whole year.
You reckon he's going to go 21 from 21?
I think
Plus all the last year's as well.
his qualifying is too bad, and the mid grid is too tight.
The thing with Stroll is he will always do something just to frustrate any predictions. So
I think,
And if it rains,
so
he
he'll
will
do-
be on the front row.
yeah, he'll do one getting into Q1.
I think if he was going to do it, he'd have done it in Canada
It does depend on the car a bit.
or
because-
Baku, because he was good around
Yeah.
Baku. The races where he's actually got a history of doing anything but rubbish at are rapidly running away from him.
There's still Imola.
Yes,
Monza.
Yeah.
Monza, yeah.
He'd
It's
be-
late.
He'd have been good at Hockenheim. It is the circuits where there's large portions where he doesn't actually have to move the wheel that he tends to be best at.
Yeah, if it rains, Lance Stroll will be on the front row and slowly go backwards and score points.
Is it time for you to answer my questions?
Yeah, let's do that
I think that's probably a good idea. We'll record a theme tune at some point.
one day.
It's never going to happen, is it?
We'll get round to it. Whose is this week's from?
This one is from...
Sorry, who's most recently badgered you?
He didn't actually. He sent it, but he hasn't badgered me. It was the first one I came to. Noah McBride.
Good
Hi,
name.
Noah.
Yeah. Are we ready?
Yes,
Might as well be.
I was born
correct.
in 1962.
Okay.
Right, okay, so...
57.
57.
Questionable. Most of my fame comes from one particular Grand Prix. I would like to say I wholeheartedly disagree with that.
Most of my fame comes
Yeah.
from one particular Grand Prix.
Yeah.
Okay.
My first Formula One race was won by Gerhard Berger.
It's about the right age for Johnny Herbert.
What? My first Formula One race was
Johnny
won
Herbert
by
was
Gerhard Berger.
Gerhard Berger. Did he have to sit on his mantelpiece?
It's about the right size for a prize.
I just imagine Gerhard stood on a podium holding Johnny Herbert up in the air.
I can just imagine Gerhard Berger stood in a bar holding Johnny Herbert up in the air.
He let me down. Fuck off.
So it's a place.
Well,
I was born in 1962, so it's either a place or a person.
Well, I was born in 1962. Most of my fame comes from one Grand Prix, and my first Formula One race was won by Gerhard Berger.
So the first Formula One race I was in was won by Gerhard Berger, and I'm famous
Yeah.
for what happened in one race, which could be the
Johnny Herbert.
European Grand Prix that he won. Or the British Grand Prix that he won.
Yep.
Or other races he's famous for.
Kids get a burger. The answer could be 15 pints.
Would it be about the right age for Martin Brundle as well?
No, he was 60 last week.
Right.
Because he was making jokes at Silverstone about he was 2 days away from getting his bus pass.
Happy birthday, Martin.
You flew a Spitfire on his 60th birthday.
Oh, and happy birthday, Gemma, while we're at it. You are not old at 20, sod off.
Absolutely.
Yeah, happy birthday. I have indirectly... Oh, no, I want to guess. Hurry up.
Johnny Herbert?
Okay.
It'll do for now.
I have indirectly caused the death of a Formula One driver.
Suzuka.
And suddenly it went dark.
It's Suzuka.
Yeah.
Pretty sure Suzuka was started in roughly 1962. Early 60s was when Suzuka was a racetrack.
There are a few races that it's really famous for. But
Senna Prost, 89 is what I'm thinking.
And 90.
90 was when they took each other out first corner. Well, Senna took Prost out
Hill,
first corner.
96.
So, yeah, Lee could definitely disagree with that.
2000
and someone could think it.
2005, Raikkonen from 17th to take the lead on the final lap.
Would you like another clue?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah.
After a brief spell away from the sport, I returned in 2009.
After Fiji was used as the track.
No,
In
Fuji.
2000
Not,
Fuji.
not Fiji.
Jesus Christ, my brain's messed up tonight.
Yeah. Fuji was used in 2007 and 2008, I think.
Also, anyone want to go to the Fiji Grand Prix?
Yeah, so it's
If you want to
Suzuka.
take me to Fiji, I will pretend there is a race there. I'll even sit there for 2 hours going, meow, meow.
Just pack your Xbox.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Suzuka.
I played an extensive role in Senna's and Prost's feud.
A bit like
Pretty
Suzuka.
sure
Like
it's
Suzuka
Suzuka.
did.
I would like a guess. Is
I
that
think
guess
it's-
Suzuka?
I think it's Suzuka, yeah.
I am under contract till 2021. I
don't know.
The first race I was involved in was not a sellout in 1995. I spent most of my years affiliated with Honda. I am
No, hang
from
on.
Japan.
1995.
Yeah. First race was 1995.
It wasn't, because Senna and Prost crashed there in 89.
No, the first race that wasn't a sellout was 1995.
Yes.
Oh,
That's
got
it,
you.
yeah.
Sorry, I do
Because
apologise.
Schumacher had already won the title.
That's my fault
By
for
that
not,
point,
for not
yeah,
wording it
yeah.
properly.
Sorry, I do apologise. I misunderstood.
Would,
I'm-
would you like to give me a final guess?
I think it's Suzuka.
Are we sure?
Interesting fact about Suzuka. If anybody out there wanted a Spaffer clue, the Dagner curves 1 and 2 are so called because that's where a rider decided to stop, got off his bike, and jumped the fence and jumped ship and went and joined another team with the blueprints from the bike that he was on stuffed in his overalls.
Did he really?
Yeah, he did.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah,
Even Alonso had the fucking decency to do it behind closed
I think he,
doors.
Allegedly.
Sorry.
I think he stole stole a European bikes
Allegedly
blueprints
behind
and gave
closed
them to
doors.
Honda, which is why the Dagner curves are 1 and 2. Named after the guy who basically gave Honda the blueprint for a motorcycle, and they went, "Oh right, okay."
That is incredible.
Middle of a race, I'm not even joking. Pulled over, got out, jumped the fence, got in another
attack.
team's car, and then they drove off with the blueprints in his overalls.
That's mental.
Why would you race with the blueprints in your overalls?
If you're going to stop at at some curve and give them to another team.
yeah, that's basically what happened.
Did he have the did he have the plans in like a screwy bottle of aftershave foam after he turned the fences off and he had a 20-minute window to get in the car?
I'm sure I've mentioned this on a podcast before.
This
but
is why when
I'll just have
Silverstone was redeveloped, the Hangar Straight was almost known as the Woking Photocopy Shop Straight.
I'm just having a quick Google.
But anyway, thank you for that one, Noah.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, it was
Hammer.
Ernst Dagner. He was from Germany. He defected to West Germany in 1961. He took MZ's tuning techniques. It wasn't to Honda, it was to Suzuki, winning Suzuki's first Grand Prix championship in 62. and he raced over here in the Isle of Man TT. His very last race was the 1966 50cc ultra lightweight Isle of Man TT.
That's very lightweight.
Yeah, he won the 50cc
Ooh,
championship in
C90.
'62. Yeah,
Stopped in Ramsey and carried the bike around the rest of the way.
right. It was here we go. He was racing at the Swedish Grand Prix in Kristianstad. In that race, he would have won the world championship for himself and for MZ, but his engine failed. His main rival was a Honda rider, Tom Phillips. That's when he defected to West Germany from East Germany. He basically gave Suzuki the plans for the MZ. He designed the entire. He designed in inverted commas. That's about the third time I said in inverted commas this podcast.
So why aren't they called the designer curbs?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Dana designed Suzuki's new 50 and 125cc races. The following year, they won the world championship in both classes.
Top work. Right, how do you get Total Shunting?
You can tweet me a PM, or you can send me a PM on Instagram at a Total Shunt.
And if you want to get hold of the rest of us, then you can use our main Twitter account at 3 Legs 4 Wheels, or individually we are
at Flood21,
at Dan Dankleton,
at Pablo100, and at Sean Cowper. If you're old school and want to email anything, it's 3legs4wheels@gmail.com, and we're on Facebook as well. Give us a like and a follow on there. Mm-hmm. Can we also ask? We haven't had any iTunes ratings for a while. If you're listening to this through iTunes, give us a quantity of stars, somewhere,
and a comment.
More than 4 and less than 6.
However many you feel comfortable giving us, but also give us a comment.
You can tell
we
the
like
truth.
Comments.
If you don't like us, tell the truth, but just make sure you give 5 stars. The words don't matter.
I don't know. There was that one comment. The person that gave us 5 stars and said, "I've never felt I need to take a shower more than after listening to this podcast."
It's fine. I'm
whatever
at ease
turns you
with
on.
that. With 5 stars, it covers a multitude of sins.
Just like this podcast.
Yes.
Covers a multitude of sins.
We will be back next week
with
a German Grand Prix to look back at and a Hungarian Grand Prix to look forward to, because it's back-to-back time.
I won't be here, so I'll have to send in my predictions.
Send in your predictions before you go, but Sean will be joining us next week. Already sorted.
Good stuff.
Thanks for listening. See you next week.
Ciao.
Bye.